Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, click the thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And like I always say, if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and click on what appears to be that little bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, they're looking at new video footage, if you will, of trying to find video footage of the involving the murder of Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas. And so, from what I understand, they're basically combing through everything. They're trying to hotel receipts, hotel records, new witnesses, and the DA is basically trying to look for the slam dunk on Keefe D as far as this situation is concerned. They said they basically assembled a collective group of investigators, and they're investigating this case as if it happened in 2024 and not happened in 1996. I think this is very interesting, like I said before, because Keefe D, his stance is basically, he wasn't in Las Vegas at the time of the shooting. After testifying, so much so that he's, where he stayed, basically he's told there's too many details for him not to have been in Las Vegas, according to the district attorney and what they think. And so, what they've been doing, I believe they said they have like a team of 20, 21, 30 investigators, going back to hotels. And like I told you guys before, they're basically going back and looking for potential surveillance footage, if you will. I don't know how much they're gonna find, but they have special teams of forensically educated investigators, should I say, combing through all of the evidence, witness statements, and everything, surveillance footage from the night of September 7th, 1996. They got some fresh leads. So what they're saying is they got fresh leads and opportunities to speak to new witnesses. Minus any kind of footage, all they would need is basically just one person who said they saw Keefe D in Las Vegas that night. I believe Mob James said he had seen Keefe D and them come down to Club 662. I don't know if Mob James would say anything like that, as far as helping with the investigation, but he did mention those things on a few channels, if you will. And so, yeah, it's ramping up. And like I said, what they're looking for is the slam dunk. But once again, I believe, and I actually put this footage up a while ago in one of my videos. They basically, the Vegas police already had, and I don't think that they're letting it out the bag, and I tried to go back and look for that information again. I got to remember what video I did on that, but they basically already admitted to the fact that they had documented evidence that Keefe D stayed at the Monte Carlo at the time, which is not the Monte Carlo anymore. They refurbished the hotel and made it the Park MGM Grand now. And so, with that being said, I don't think it's a tough case. I mean, you guys can chime in, in the comment section and tell me, what do you think? They're saying right now, as they're looking at this case, that the investigation is bigger than the original homicide case investigation. Excuse me. As if it happened, 2024, not 96. And so, yeah, we're gonna see what happens, man. It's gonna be very interesting. They've been basically going back to been liaisoning with different hotels, front desk, looking for security footage, also documents, following the timeline. Basically, when Keefe D said, he wasn't in Vegas, so they've been basically trying to go back and follow the timeline from that night. So if you will, any kind of signing in or signing out or anything like that. And you got to know that's probably a tedious thing. 20 some odd years, 28, almost 30 years. Going back in time, basically, that's crazy, right? So, but despite of Keefe D's many self-confessed, many times he's said that he was in Vegas and explained all of this detail, and prosecutors still need to somewhat corroborate what they understand it to be, and not just his word for it. But like I said, I do believe if Keefe D's not going to take the stand involving the Tupac case, that would be detrimental to him, along with any other corroborating evidence that they can find. But if he doesn't speak up and they just let video after video after video play of him giving these details, holding up his book, basically saying, hey, you know what, go buy my book because there's nothing but the truth. And then they start to read excerpts from the book in court. I think that's pretty much, a case where the prosecution has proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But I think that they're looking at it from that perspective, that any new evidence doesn't hurt. And that's the claim that they're trying to basically say, we have to prove that he was actually there in Vegas, despite what he said, right? So they have a secret team of investigators, man, piecing through all of the evidence in Vegas, and they said they're treating it as if that murder happened in 2024 and not 1996. So I think that's a refreshing thing. Basically, they have gone back in time, treating the murder like it's fresh. Now, they said one place that they visited, and this is the thing that I like I said, to be able to, Keefe D has made this case easier for the prosecution under the facts, dealing with the facts that, should I say, that once again, when he was talking and doing all these videos, he believed that he had immunity. And so this is the reason why I lean towards most of the stuff that Keefe D said was true, because like I said, the investigators basically, they visited the Monte Carlo where Keefe D had stated many times that he stayed in before the killing and even returned to afterwards. You see what I mean? So Keefe D has stated in many interviews that he stayed at the Monte Carlo, and that even after the killing of Tupac that night in Vegas, that he returned to the Monte Carlo. So they're basically going, through with the staff and the people that worked there, who probably were younger back then, or not even working there at that particular time, to search through guest bookings records to establish whether there was evidence that Keefe D or any of his associates were booked in. And like I said, once again, it could be a daunting and tedious task to do that, but that's what they're doing. And like I say, as well as talking to new witnesses and people and things like that. So, yeah. So tell me, guys, what you think about this. You think that any new evidence is going to be discovered? I think so. I think it, especially from the MGM Grand, dealing with that night, that surveillance footage of what happened at the hotel, and I think they probably had all of that already, or probably most of that already, when the initial investigation started. And so I want to see actually what happened. That's the part that I'm interested in, what they caught from the many different angles of the MGM, prior to the situation with Orlando Anderson. Because that's going to speak a lot towards, what really went down. Also outside of the MGM, where Keefe D had alleged that Zip gave him the gun and Foxy Brown was in the cars. We know about that as of recent. So they looking at restaurants, any place that they possibly could think of, probably inside of the MGM Grand. If they had, I'm sure when I went to fights, like over there when you're walking in, there was just so many cameras but wondering if they saved that data or had VHS tapes at the time, or what kind of system, digital systems that they were using at that particular time. Yeah, they said there were days before many places operated digital systems. So basically, there's going to be hours involved. Like I said, this was before all of the stuff that we have now where, surveillance is stored on a hard drive and they can go back and look for it and, basically piece together what happened. That doesn't exist. So they got to go back and look through old paperwork and all of that. But the fact that Keefe D told him where he was staying at in many interviews when he thought that he had immunity, that's why I lean towards it being true. He could have said they stayed at a circus, or the what else back then, Buffalo Bills. You know what I mean? In one of the hotels. He didn't have to say Monte Carlo, but that was where he said that he stayed at and that he returned to after that. So that's the reason why I believe it's the attention to detail. But they also said that it's been challenging to locate surveillance footage from the 1990s. Cameras from the Monte Carlo, the MGM, and other spots were never properly logged or examined. So that process is basically laborious, they're saying. Yeah. So, but they're saying the DA is basically saying all they need is a couple of seconds. Basically a couple of seconds of footage, placing Keefe D in Las Vegas, and they basically have a home run in their case if they can get that. It's like not what you know, right? But what you can prove. Basically they've gone over everything, re-examined the old homicide files, the persons and the people who they thought could be witnesses, what they said back in the day, basically saying a lot of people will basically hush and mum about the situation and saying that they didn't see anything. You know what I mean? But they also have new witnesses, and conversations are going on with these people from that perspective, who have connections with Keefe D, who may have been in Las Vegas and never said anything. So yeah, this is going to get interesting. But they saying, the investigation that they are now doing is bigger than when the Tupac murder actually happened. And I find this is very interesting, right? We know last week, the big story was Foxy Brown being wooed, by prosecutors to be a witness and on their side, for the district attorney's side. And like I said before, the only person that Keefe D would have to blame would be himself. He mentioned Foxy Brown's name. Foxy Brown didn't do anything. So if she did decide to come in and testify, not to anything that she saw, but that was she in Vegas that night? Yes. Was Zip in Vegas that night? Yes. Did Zip have a conversation with Keefe D? And she says yes. That's it. Not whether she's seen anything happen, and I think that right there would be a slam dunk also, because remember, Keefe D said that she was in Vegas and that he saw her. She never said anything. So he's put her under the spotlight, if you will. So yeah, like I said, and it's basically, the DA is admitting to that. They're saying Foxy Brown could be a crucial to derailing one central defense of Keefe D's, who insists he is innocent of playing a role in Tupac's death. Foxy Brown was in Sin City, hanging out with Davis's friends on September 7th, shortly before Tupac was hunted down and gunned down in Vegas. So if they can prove that, then yeah, it's pretty much a wrap. But so we know Keefe D's legal strategy. First, he did it for fame, money, and all of those things. But like I said, how the prosecution puts on its case is going to be pivotal in getting the jury to buy in or to believe that what he said is not true, as far as him not being there and why he did it. Another thing that I think, as far as Las Vegas is concerned, and which Keefe D got to be careful of, is them wanting to, get this case over and done with. And so you got to look at the jury. Sometimes the jury don't really they look at, the person's character, the person's history, and the things that they say and how they carry themselves. Sometimes it's not even really about the evidence. I mean, because the evidence in itself is like all of these self confessions and all of that. So it's like now they're saying, oh, Keefe D won't take the stand. If he does not take the stand, then they have tape over and over and over and over him, over and over and over again of him basically saying that he was involved. And not one tape that I've seen that said that he wasn't involved from that perspective. Only through his new attorney, he's basically saying that. So, and they're basically contending that, you know what, there was no proof that Keefe D was actually in Vegas that night. And basically Keefe D insisted the comments that he made about Tupac was a lie, and boasted about meeting with Foxy in his memoir, was a lie. So now he even saying that even, the Foxy Brown thing was a lie. I mean, why out of all rappers that a person could possibly mention, would it be Foxy Brown? So now you gotta understand, like, he put together this elaborate story about Zip, giving him the gun, all of these things. And then he goes on Vlad and holds up the book and says, you know what? This is actually the truth. Go get my book. $20. Go buy my book. So I'm having problems really thinking. And like I said, as it plays in the media, but when you get into the courtroom, there's different rules. So they can say whatever they want to whatever newspaper outlets, magazines, and so on and so forth. When you get in that courtroom in front of that judge is not going to go for that. So, yeah, like, man, it's funny, man. Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, oh, man. And like I said, the prosecutors have reached out to Foxy Brown, but we're going to see if she feels, I don't know. And like I said, that's a tough one. Because a lot of people be, trying to live up to a certain image, man. And, I'm not a snitch. I'm not this. I'm not that. But like I said, to Foxy Brown's defense, she never mentioned or said anything about she was in Las Vegas, as far as I know. And Keefe D was the person that mentioned her name. So if he's saying he lied about Foxy Brown being there, now all of a sudden he's saying that it's a lie that Foxy Brown was there. That's a hell of a lie to tell on somebody, if you will. To place them at a place where, it's possible that they can be, scrutinized for something that they knew about a situation involving the death of Tupac Shakur that they never revealed to the public. That's the part that I'm a little bit more concerned about than, what Keefe D is saying is basically placing her at the scene, and she never said anything about it, right? So we're going to see in November. Keefe D lawyer basically maintains that Keefe D has lied about his entire involvement in the Tupac death to gain fame and earn money, right? Even the Greg Kading situation, even the 2009 confession that he gave to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, right? Arnold says the prosecutors cannot convict his client based on his confessions alone and need corroborating evidence. That's partially true. But once again, that doesn't have to be the prevailing factor because, like I said, it's all up to the jury. Now, will that give a reason for an appeal? Okay, cool. But as of right now, Keefe D can't even get out on a $75,000, which is a $750,000 bail. Granting the 10%, he can't get out, with the $75,000. So once again, in trying to appeal your case and people feeling like, okay, you know what, he has a good argument. I don't really see that at this particular time. Right. And so their whole thing is there's no evidence that Keefe D was in Vegas that night. Right. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, man. And they also said that, when they went over the prior investigation, that they felt like Suge Knight and Tupac's cousin Yaki Gaddafi held back information about the shooter Orlando Anderson. Suge Knight, who was driving with his pal Shakur, spoke to police, but is understood to have never given any details about the crime. And my thing is, I asked the question, and I don't think the Suge would testify. I don't know. I can't really say that. You know what I mean? But if they gave Suge some kind of if they said we'll let you go home, I wonder would he do it? You know, that freedom is a strong motivator, if you will. You know, it was a strong motivator for Keefe D when he was facing the drug charges to come up and actually cop to the Tupac murder and tell them everything that they needed to know from that perspective, right? And yeah, so it's going to get very interesting, man. It's going to get very, very interesting. But like I said, the Vegas PD, you know, they say they had 243 pages of investigation material that related to the case from 1996 when they originally investigated. So they've been combing through all of that, going to the hotels, talking to staff, trying to find old surveillance footage and all of those things. So like I said, it's going to be very interesting, man. You know, chime in and tell me what you guys think. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.